It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay. She off your mind.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don't off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go summer us, call them hate speech. But fear not, Maiyegun don't come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun diary Politico, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. And in the touchlight every corner, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai, them be promise us say we go get light and power. Nah. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. See them talk say make we off mind, but thank God say Maiyegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun diary Politico, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Maiyegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Maiyegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say Maiyegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come. Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Maiyegun diary, Maiyegun number one.
Hello there.
Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Maiyegun diary, Maiyegun number one.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Maiyegun live.
Maiyegun diary, Maiyegun number one.
Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Maiyegun já wa sí.
Maiyegun diary, Maiyegun number one.
Àṣírí.
Thank you so much for joining me from wherever you are joining from. As much as you are joining live, as you know, not watching the replay now, okay? And to those of you who are also going to be watching a replay, share this broadcast before you settle down, okay? Like the broadcasts and take your time and read the caption and the description of the broadcasts before you watch the whole thing. Share the broadcasts.
Godfatherism, kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Maiyegun.
Maiyegun diary, Maiyegun number one.
Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o.
Olúwọlé Adéjùgbé,
Maiyegun diary.
I cite you.
Àní Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò.
Maiyegun diary.
Peter Obi will be declared winner by the courts. Mellow your tension. Worry less. Who said this? Abure, the Labour Party chairman, who is currently on tour of the United States. He said, worry less. In the next few weeks and months, Peter Obi will be declared winner. Tonight, I'll share that with you.
Àní ẹ̀sùn láti lórí YouTube.
Maiyegun ti dé.
Àní ẹ̀sùn láti.
Robert Dikenu,
Ọba bá gbé wúrẹ́.
Maiyegun máa wí.
I cite you too.
Maiyegun ti dé.
He will create 50 million jobs in 3 years. Tinubu's minister just released that statement as well. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Remember, you need to like this broadcast. You need to share it before you finally settle down and start commenting. I mean, like exchanging what have you. Do that. Motideo. So good evening to you once again. Good morning to you and good afternoon to you from wherever you are watching from. It is Maiyegun and this is the Temple of Truth. Again. So you are welcome. Now, it doesn't matter which side of the coin you belong to right now. It is ideal for every one of us to kind of pay attention, because this is not limited to those you probably, especially those of you who are like Lagos Abobakus. The consequences of the consequences of Tinubu and gang's permutation is not going to be limited to those who don't like Tinubu. You are not spared too. So I would advise, keep your sentiment for now. I mean, keep your preference for now. According to Tinubu's minister, they have a plan of creating 50 million jobs in 3 years. Just like Bokwari told you, it would be creating 3 million jobs every year. And it was supposed to have probably created 24 million new jobs. But Nigeria ended up as the unemployment capital of the world until Kolu came and they rewrite the start to say Nigeria is near full employment. But that's another story. So what they are now saying is that lies. They are not going to take any loan. I'm going to play you the video, by the way, but we'll get to that part. They're not going to take any loan. And a lot of them were pretty much like the mumus, already kind of, falling for that. Wow, that's a wonderful idea. In fact, this is the truth of the matter is this. In the last 2 months alone, just last 2 months, Tinubu's government have secretly and partially openly, should I say partial openly or partially openly, they have taken over $6 billion in 2 months. Just so you know, $6 billion loan. 750 here, 500 here, 800 here, $1 million, 700 here, 300 here. You know what I mean? 3 billion here, and then 500 million there. They've taken all this money codedly. They haven't told you. We don't even have a clue how much money they have printed in the last 2 months. But you know that will come to light later, Abby. We'll get to that. But I was kind of doing my own me time when I stumbled on the clip, the video of Labour Party chairman. I mean, they kind of say it's the current embattled chairman of Labour Party, whatever, Abure. It was in the UK about 2 days ago. So he kind of made a video to tell everybody that this is what he's been doing, going around to meet with Labour Party people, obedient people here and there. And then he added a message that became an headliner in Nigeria. Peter Obi will be declared winner. And he repeated the same when he got to Washington. I want us to start from there, okay? Before we go fully into the first fake meeting of Tinubu and his 45 thieves. To start with, all right? Let's quickly take that stopover. In London with Abure, I mean, he was talking about the confidence. I mean, like, no matter how everybody feels, no matter how all of you feel right now, is kind of confident that maybe he's just kind of there to say that, like he's expected to say that, but there is more. Listen to this. Abure.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. I've just concluded my working visit in the United Kingdom. I'll be leaving UK today for the United States. I'm going to land precisely in Washington, D.C. And on the 28th, I am going to have a town hall meeting and several other meetings in Washington, D.C. I'll be proceeding from Washington, D.C. to New York City on the 28th, where from 29th to 31st and 1st, I'm going to also have a lot of town hall meetings and several other scheduled meetings in the New York City. I'll be leaving New York City on the 2nd of September for Arizona, where I will have a town hall meeting on the 3rd, and we'll be leaving Arizona on the 4th back to Washington, D.C. to en route Nigeria. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate all Labour Party members and obedient movement in the United Kingdom for the massive support and for finding time to engage me to participate in all the series of events. I'm really, really very proud of the UK chapter for that outstanding performance. I also want to seize this privilege to say that a new Nigeria is definitely possible. I do not want us to be deterred, to be discouraged by the temporary setback. I believe surely that Peter Obi will be president of Nigeria. I'm sure that the courts will do the right thing. And for us in Labour Party, we have put our hands on the plow and we definitely not look back. We are determined to continue this struggle until we reclaim the country, until the country is repositioned for effective service delivery, until the country works for Nigeria. We will not rest on our oars. Thank you and God bless you.
So that was that short video that I released that became headliner in Nigeria today. But there is something I want to quickly point out, especially now that I have your attention. If I ask a lot of you, especially the obedient watching me right now, who have who are feeling cheated by the system, you are kind of wondering what on earth would make Nigeria courts ignore all of the available evidence against the emergence of a Tinubu. You are wondering what could court, what were they going to do? Which simply means a lot of you from the 25th of February, you have been feeling this personal disgust of how you have been cheated, having participated, as you were told, legally in the electoral process, which, is a process. A lot of you feel cheated. And you kind of have bottled your anger, waiting for what would the court say? What would the court say, Abi? So the point I'm trying to drive at is that if you are obedient watching me right now, you understand what injustice simply means, Abi? Especially if you are like obedient. I'm talking about a lot of you who are really dedicated, including those of you who traveled back to Nigeria after organizing different gathering and then town hall meetings to encourage your fellow compatriots to support the political movement that could put an end to Nigerians' problems. In your way, you invested in it because you expected the system to protect that your interest, no matter what. Even if you are going to be the minority, you still wanted it clean and clear. But they did worse. So you understand what injustice means, right? Now that you do understand it, and you are indeed one of those who believe that except the judiciary want to throw Nigeria up into trouble or problems, that is when they are going to ignore all of these constitutional infractions committed by INECO and by Tinubu himself and APC generally. A lot of you are waiting because of the disgust and anger you feel towards being cheated. And you are seeing those who stole from me, who have stolen from you, parading themselves as the Lord of the Manor. Good. Do you know that in Nigeria government, right, launched a genocidal ethnic cleansing campaign? And when they saw the straw, an excuse to execute that genocidal policy of theirs, they did not hesitate. And to this day, thousands of young people have been killed or made disappear. I am talking about IPOB. You know something about injustice? As people say all the time, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, which is simply put as injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. No, the right thing is that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice elsewhere or everywhere. Now, you cannot cherry pick having fallen into the scheme and the plan of the same system, the same corrupt Nigeria system that will never follow any due process, but put together a scheme to cleanse the Igbos at any given opportunity. You witnessed that, but whatever you now felt towards the IPOB or the general campaign for self-determination, no matter what you feel towards it, if you think they have done anything illegally, if you think they have committed any crime, the right process is for the law to what? Take its full course. Now, talking about the law taking its full course, where we are all not going to cherry pick justice and injustice here, right? 5 solid times that Nigeria government has managed to defend or put up any kind of charges against Nnamdi Kanu. 5 times he has defeated Nigeria without any evidence of any crime committed by him. Nigeria court last year, same Nigeria court last year, having kidnapped him 2 years, a year before then, their court said, with all the evidence before them, that Nigeria should return Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally back to Kenya. A lot of you saw that too. Even though that might not be your expected judgment, Abi, but judgment is judgment through their process court, their own court. A lot of you read that judgment, and it was like, well, the government should not let him go. Their court said released him unconditionally. Then they went back to court. Malamu went back to court to go and ask court that, please, give us time. Okay? We cannot just return him. We don't have the resources to return him now. So we want you to please grant us the right to continue to keep him illegally. The court denied that request. Up to this moment, the standing judgment from the Nigerian court says Nnamdi Kanu should be put in a plane and returned back to Kenya. Now, that comes back to you. I know how some of you feel towards IPOB, and I'm not actually going to judge you with that. I'm just going to let you be the judge yourself. You are pursuing the same process right now. You want justice for the electoral fraud. You want justice for those who believed in a process. But today, the same process is now it's like changing the goalpost. during the game. You saw all of that and you are so angry right now. An innocent man is being locked up in Nigeria DSS detention, being tortured, denied access to his family, his medical doctors is being denied, and the standing court judgment is still there. Then they said they were going to Supreme Court from September 2022. The Supreme Court of Nigeria has been postponing, adjourning, and they are not even interested in listening to that case. Then from nowhere, the Nigerians, the typical Nigerians, or Ndigo, they came out, they want to be surety. Tinubu, please, we beg you, please release him to us. We will be the surety. Surety for what? For what exactly? Begging for what? I just thought I should put that in your mind before we get fully into this. A lot of you don't believe in their court, of course. But somehow, you needed them to confirm or justify your distrust for them, which made it more interesting to a lot of you. So when you talk about justice and injustice, you cannot cherry pick. Even when people you don't like manage to get justice from a corrupt system that is only out there to hunt the rest of us, the ideal thing is, think about if yours is also denied and everybody move on, because it is likely going to be the case. In the next few days, the Nigeria judiciary will pick a date that is going to possibly make or mar Nigeria in the coming months. So whether you believe in them or not, everybody is waiting. But Abure, getting to the United States of America, actually repeated the same message. Yes, they might be dodgy. Yes, the judiciary may be corrupt, but I can reassure all of you, Peter Obi will be declared the winner. Not even a running, not even a rerun. Abure in the US, Washington.
And therefore the quarrel here is that number one, the ruling party is using them. At first they wanted to get the leadership of the party so that they can withdraw PO's petition in the courts. But of course, they resisted it and they failed. Today they are still afraid with the kind of synergy and with the force that we have within the party. And they feel that they needed to split the party and have some people to work with them in order to destabilize the party. They have realized that the party is gradually becoming a major political force to reckon with in the country. And what they can do to it is to try to create a vision within the party. And so they have paid them huge sums of money. And I'm saying this without trying to run them down. And that's why I didn't want to comment on it, so that it doesn't look as if, because I have the privilege of being here, I'm running them down, but that's the reality of the ground. And I'm sure that you all saw it. When they attempted to come to the courts to withdraw Peter Obi's petition, I'm sure you saw the beating that they were given at the courts. We have defeated them all round. In the high courts, I've defeated them. The high court held clearly that what they were trying to do is a coup d'etat that will not work. In the court of appeal, they proceeded to court of appeal and have also defeated them in the court of appeal. What they do is to promote lies and propaganda. 3-4 days back, they came back again. I'm sure that you saw it. Probably that's why some of you were worried that another court of appeal in Owerri sitting in Abuja have affirmed them. They actually lost the case. What played out was that in the Imo State primaries, their group organized 3 primaries. Their own group, their proper group. They organized primaries where one Basil Maduka emerged, Joseph Okiado emerged, and one other candidate emerged. 3 primaries within one group. It is within themselves the Maduka sued one to court. They didn't add me to it. They didn't add Atan Achonomu to it, who is the candidate. And one of them called judgment against them, said, okay, no judgment really. The court heard that they had no jurisdiction to hear the case. But the court went ahead to make some sideline comments. And by the time we saw that judgment, we felt it wouldn't be good for us to leave it. It was good for us to appeal it. Because in the Nigerian system, anything can happen.
But the audio is very low. So I'm just going to cut it. That was him, meeting Nigerians, what do you call it, the obedient, as well as, because for the obedient movement that just happened in our very eyes, ladies and gentlemen, the role that the diasporans played is not Keremi, it's not like small. When it comes to fundraising and funding different groups from the diaspora. So the diasporans played a huge role in that obedient movement. And let me tell you something, right? In case if you have not observed, when you look at Tinubu and gang, they are not really worried about the tribunal. Have you not noticed? Because they just expect the tribunal to ignore every evidence a lot of you are flaunting here and there. To them, these are just campaign after elections. They in fact wanted you to believe that there was no single evidence presented by Obi and Atifku against Tinubu's election. Because they believe that all of that are just judicial, what did they call it? Judicial exercise, judicial experiments. If you have any evidence you are talking, there's nothing. All of the rigging, all of the contested figures and the rest, nothing. But according to them, Tinubu, they only caught one witness. INEC, they only caught one witness. 2 witnesses represented INEC, Tinubu, Shitiman, and APC in their election. In their defense. But they don't care about every other evidence you think. All those constitutional infractions that you are pointing out, the perjury, the forgery, all of those things. No, the dual citizenship or citizenship that Tinubu has, they don't care. To them, you are just, that's your own. The law will ignore all of that. Which law? Consef. Nigeria law. Who is the law? It is called in their own word, right? Any day, anytime, may the tribunal just come out so that if it go lead to wahala, let it lead to wahala. So they are preparing for that. Waiting you go do, kind of. They are not worried. And everybody should be worried. Even those of you who didn't know about Nigerian laws or international laws or which section of Nigerian constitution frown against this or frown against that, and all of that, all these things you know today that you didn't know 6 months ago, you didn't know them. Today, you are now very much aware, even though you didn't attend any court sitting. With all of the presented evidence that are quite public, including their own written addresses, you could tell that there is no way their law should ignore all of this, but it's going to ignore it. That's the expectation. of the, what do you call it, of this Egbekegbe. So it's more or less like, what are you going to do if that then happens? I don't know. I think I have said this from the beginning. I said, number one, I wasn't expecting the obedient movement to pull what they pulled in 2015. Sincerely, and I'll continue to remind all of you that I never expected it. Do you get that? But they actually fought a fight, a real one, a real political movement that shook the establishment of Nigeria. And to this day, whether you want to agree or you want to disagree, or let me say whether you want to accept that or deny it, they remain the only opposition in Nigeria today, politically, that is actually dragging the system and forcing the system, the establishment, to react like they are panicking too. They are the ones. They drag this one, drag that one. Every day, you hear Peter Obi should call his supporters. Peter Obi should talk to his supporters. Peter Obi said, obedient, have no respect. You know, every day, they have been the one dragging them. So which means they have done something that whether you are part of them or whether you don't even kind of support what they are doing because they should have done something else, you need to acknowledge what they have done. They have changed the political landscape of Nigeria. Political landscape, underline that, what do you call it? That two words, political landscape of Nigeria, whether you want to agree with it or not. Everywhere you turn to, they are worried. Those who have been in the political system, that kind of, sort of a slavish system, that's how we do them. If you don't follow this step, you forget it. You can never be president. If you know, you can never be this and that in Nigeria. They demystified all of the known generational political myth. They demystified all of that. They forced the system to rig election against them. Can you even believe that? So you need to very much acknowledge that, whether you like them or you don't like them, it doesn't matter. They seem to be everywhere. They are everywhere. Your family members are part of them. Your lovers, your partners, they are everywhere. But you need to acknowledge that. And it is not due to maybe Peter Obi is special. No. It is like this boxer, I can't remember his name, who represented Nigeria at the Olympics or one of these international games, anyway, boxing bouts. And his first opponent, knockout, first round, knockout. His second opponent, knockout. When he got to his sixth opponent, this was like him now going to probably semi-final or final. That one was the fastest. This was somebody who was like beating everybody before he met this Nigerian. And when when it came to their turn, Nigerian versus this person, semi-final, going to final, or probably it was actually final for those of you who know this story very well. The whole thing didn't last more than maybe a round or two. That shocked a lot of people because they were like, could you tell us what actually motivates you, as a boxer, that you have been like all your 6 games, all your 6 fights, knockout, like technical knockout. Tell us what motivated you or what is motivating you. It said, listen, I'm making this kind of scenario up now, like I'm talking about what I'm about to say now. That's not exactly what he said, right? But pretty much like it. He responded to the journalist and said, listen, I am from Nigeria. And in Nigeria, we have a lot of problems. So every time I go into that ring, I put all of the frustration that I have faced in Nigeria and Nigerians are facing. I put all the frustration in my 2 arms as to strengthen them. So whoever received the punch is receiving the frustrated punch of Nigerians. And he believed that that's the force behind this victory. Go and read about him. No joke. That's not a joke. That's what he said. He said he put all the frustration, because every time he remembers that he's going to go back to that Nigeria and he knows what it is like, he put that frustration in his own fists. And they know they take camp for 2 times. Anyone that that's in it. So what you have right now is that Peter Obi is benefiting from the frustration of Nigerians, angry Nigerians, disappointed Nigerians, especially the Gen Z, who have asked their elderly ones, how did Nigeria get to this stage? And they couldn't get any satisfactory answers. Those are the people who are pushing all of this. You can call them hateful. They are so hateful. You can try to blackmail them or gaslight them as what do you call it? Some of you are calling them IPOB. Some of you are calling them Igbos. You can continue to delude yourselves. But in reality, your family members are part of them. They are the young Nigerians who are tired, done for. But you are denying them by what? By labeling them whatever will make you feel better or any good reason to attack them. But in reality, they retired those who were supposed to be veteran politicians, career criminals. They retired them from all across board. You know that? One of them, indeed, was this guy, Kwakwansop. I mean, you probably remember that. Talking about demystifying the generational political myth in Nigeria. If you want to be anything, you cannot do anything except the northern Nigeria approve it. The northern Nigeria must be, you cannot be president of Nigeria except the northern Nigeria, blah, 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 blah. That's exactly what this idiot, who has now been humbled and sacked, I don't know if you have heard, NNPP that Kwakwanso started, after hopping here and there, twerking for Tinubu, licking us and the rest of all those diapers of Tinubu. Last, running from pillar to post, elter skelter, within just 2 months, person we talk say it was an insult for anybody to tell him to go and be a deputy vice president to Peter Obi. Like, let's even think about it. He's an Igbo man. Nobody knows him in northern Nigeria. And all the nonsense is spewed at the time. Otiwa, one of the IDP politicians in Nigeria, internally displaced politicians, is not a member of APC. He is arch rival or arch enemy. Gandola, the Babariga Mobile Banking CEO of Kano, is the chairman of APC, Egbekegbe, right now. And right now, EFCCO, ICPCO, Police, Molao, Malamo, every one of them, that they listen to the chairman now. Because, now them they power. Kwakwansop, who was angling to become, he wanted to be president in Ofibi, because the only place he can be president of is Kano. Kwakwansop, they born to rule northern criminal, political criminal. One of them, a born to rule Wiri, said, how could you look at him, a northerner, Muslim, to go and be a vice president to a trader from Agulu in Anambra? How much is Anambra? You remember when they used to say all of that? How much is if you put all of the Igbo land together, all the Igbo states? Do they reach Kano? Do they reach Borono? You are insulting him. That was what he said. The Pangolo born to rule Kwakwansop. Today, the party is started. They've suspended him. They said he is a disgrace. A disgrace that is about to cost them their single state of Kano, because he is not politically smart. But I'll take you back a bit. To last year, when they were wear coats, they talk like somebody will say, oh, Nigeria don't suffer. I want to call them a leader in Somalia. They should go and be leaders in Sudan and all these some other places. So when you come wear coat, they talk about being president of 200 million mumus. in a contraption called Nigeria. Joke taken too far. Sorry if I am taking it a little bit personal. It felt so kind of ordinary, especially those of you who witnessed the whole thing at the time. It was so arrogant. It was like, even the Kano right now, it be like balloon. They don't carry pin, safety pin. They're going to poke them. And to poke them, boom. Now he had the first break first. But let's go to that last year when he was being asked, why don't you just try and be the vice president to Peter Obi, so that, the Igbos who have never been the president of Nigeria, they will actually kind of stand in a good stead. Now that they are demanding to break away from Nigeria, don't you think, like what they did for the Yorubas in 1999, after they killed Abiola, but because they believed that the Yorubas were going to break away from Nigeria sooner or later, so they politically agreed within their coven, within their political abraka, whatever there, that let the next president come from Yoruba land. And just like that, all political parties in Nigeria, they had to field Yoruba candidate. Have you forgotten? In case if you have forgotten, they may not actually included in that part of your history. Yes, that's why Obasanjo became president of Nigeria. It was a scheme. They just killed Abiola. Nadeko was everywhere. It was going to be a tough one for the military to continue in Nigeria. And at that time, it was going to be almost impossible without Nigeria leading to civil war. The Yorubas have been slaughtered in the political ring, and the Yorubas are not going to just look away. So they said, okay, for Nigeria to remain one, the next president must be Yoruba. Then they cook and cook and cook. Obasanjo became the president, remember? That was what they were asking this Kwakwan Sop. That the Igbos are saying they want to leave, marginalized. And of course, they have been marginalized, like every part of Nigeria, of course. But hey, how can you be shouting one Nigeria, and you are saying to yourself that over your dead body, would an Igbo man be president of Nigeria? Baba, why don't you just let them go? But you, somebody, we don't do politics for a while. A northerner just finished now, or about to finish. Kwakwan Sop, don't you think it's going to be politically kind of good? If you really love the Igbos and you want them to be part of Nigeria, give them that sense of belonging. And they said the Igbos, hang on, I'm deviating a bit. They said the Igbos must continue to build bridges. If Igbos want to rule Nigeria, one Nigerian history, if Igbos want to rule Nigeria, they must belong. They must stop calling Nigeria zoo. They must try to blend with other people. They must respect other people's culture. They must respect. I mean, I don't know how it feels to be an Igbo man in Nigeria. Honestly speaking, I would never know. But in my own, what I have seen so far, I can bet it. If I was an Igbo man and I get to know what I know about Nigeria, Baba, trust me, I may be worse than Nnamdi Kanu. Like, I just tell you my mind. Yes, I may be worse than Nnamdi Kanu. A lot of you may be living in denial. It's okay. It's okay. You know? Now only Igbos, they get conditions. If they must rule Nigeria. But when you look at the northerners, the criminals who have wrecked the economy of Nigeria again and again and again, the criminals who have made sure that their region never catch up with the rest of Nigeria intentionally. The region that has the criminals from northern Nigeria who planned coup, killed people, took power, rigged election, did all of this, siphoned money, looted Nigeria. Nobody, they give them conditions. I mean, like, let's be honest. Now only Igbo, they get condition. Now only Igbo must be this, you must be that, you must be that. For them to be in Nigeria, let us tell ourselves the truth. All Igbo people must love themselves. That's a Yoruba man, a Yoruba man that is advising the Igbos. You know, For Igbos to rule Nigeria, the Igbos must come together and they must love themselves. As if to say Yorubas came together and they loved themselves and they brought this crook upon ourselves. Like, we love ourselves so much. That we kept the criminals and the crook that we have on us. As if to say we had choices. As if to say, I'm just saying, when you look at those who have looted Nigeria, impoverished Nigeria, I'm talking about those who have been president of Nigeria from every part of Nigeria. Now only the Igbos decay condition. The Igbos need to learn how to. Igbos must learn how to. Learn what? Like, tell me, learn what? What did the Yorubas learn that gave them the right, that gave us that right? Nothing, nothing. It is just political machination. It is not because there are no good Igbos. Have you seen them properly? Have you seen the configuration of all their politics? The Igbos are there. Igbos are there. Yorubas are there. But it is political machination. Don't just, no. Can we trust Igbo? No, we can't trust them now. No. Even the Igbos that are among them, they accepted that. But when it is convenient to play the card of, the Igbos must learn how to, and then you see some Igbos too. The Igbos with inferiority complexes. I don't feel sorry for you because I have seen Yorubas with inferiority complexes too. I have seen Hausas, I've seen all Nigerians with different inferiority complexes. And that is why the worst of the worst are those who are representing you. Unfortunately. So look at this entitled arrogant scum called Kwakwanso. He's never worked in his life. They call him engineer. Do you know that? Doctor, engineer, Rabiu, Kwakwanso. Because he went to India to go and do PhD on pure water. Can you believe that? Pure water. Somebody went to go and do honorary PhD in India. On how to differentiate between clean pure water and dirty pure water. And then, and he became a doctor. So he can't go put on suit. They were talking about how to chase away this mad, what do you call it? This mad APC, that has divided Nigeria, divided Nigerians. Impoverished Nigerians, looted, bankrupted Nigeria. Okay, Ogbeni, come. Now, Buhari won't finish now. Now, one Malam won't finish. You be Malam again. And there's no way where you go spell Malam, Baba. Whether you spell them from the front, na Malam. Or you spell them from the back, na Malam. When they come put on to the brag, say, Andrew Liver. I mean, like, come on.
So you're hoping to pick a running mate from the southeast?
That's my choice.
Okay.
Things being equal, that's the choice of our party. Because you see,
or maybe they're even thinking that you might be the running mate to Peter Obi.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is what the enemy outside there is saying. The implication is that if you put somebody from the southeast, unfortunately there are many issues in the southeast. You see, northern voter is the worst hit on this issue of maladministration in this country. But even under that circumstance, a northern voter also believes that he is better with one united Nigeria. And therefore, most of the things that are happening in the south, especially in the southeast, people are not comfortable with that. And as long as you have somebody from there in any party, it will be very difficult for the northern voters to vote. And that's the situation now. And those workers who are against, in the actual sense, working against LP, Southeast, and so on, what they believe is, if you put anybody under this arrangement from that side of the country, the northern voters will not vote. And who will they vote? Their own candidate in the southeast, I mean in the north.
So can you or would you be a running mate to Peter Obi?
That's what I'm saying.
Would you like to be as a person, as personally?
Ordinarily, you see, I'm jobless now. I'm not doing any job. So to become a vice president,
you can be a vice president.
But what I'm telling you is that if anybody from the southeast now under this circumstance becomes the presidential candidate of our party or any other party, the implication is that because of the activities and many other issues that are real on the ground, northern voters will certainly go for their northern candidate in another party.
So the thinking
is that it's not whether I like it or I don't like it. The fact remains that
the numbers,
everybody will lose. The number he will lose, I will lose.
So if Peter Obi is coming to join you, it will be your running mate.
That's as long as you want to vote from the north, that's the situation, fortunately or unfortunately, today.
Voting from the north, as long as you want any vote from the north, it will need to come and be my vice. Freaking entitled scum. He actually admitted there that he's jobless. And that's why, if you see some of them hating on you, the obedient, you don't know what you have done or what you did. You demystified people like that. When election is coming, did you hear him when he said the northerners will not vote for any southeast candidates because of the activities going on there? They would rather vote for one of them from the north. Baba, what kind of activity is going on in eastern Nigeria? That would deny anybody from there to be president of Nigeria, but that same activity that is going on in northern Nigeria, will not deny anybody from northern Nigeria from being president of Nigeria. Boko Haram, Iswapu, and Fulani bandits, those who have killed tens of thousands of Nigerians, kidnapped hundreds of thousands of them for ransom, and they are still doing it. So anybody who come from northern Nigeria, those activities cannot deny them to be president of Nigeria. But the military invasion of eastern Nigeria, kidnapping and killing young people from eastern Nigeria, in the name of looking for IPOB, it would deny anybody who is from eastern Nigeria from becoming president of Nigeria. The political narrative of political scums, jobless scums that you call leaders in Nigeria. There is one. Last year, this other jobless one called Buba Galadima, it was on TV. Listen.
Tinubu supported General Buhari to become president. That is no news. It is true. But for Tinubu to come out and say he will build on what Buhari is doing, that is a minus for you. What is happening to Nigerians? You want to build on what Buhari is doing to you, to the country, the division, the insecurity, the economic meltdown. I think you yourself will not vote for such a person that is going to build on what Buhari has done. So that is one. But even if he supported Buhari, that is personal to him. It's not personal to us. So, and we have nothing to do with the government of Buhari. Having said that, if there is a prevailing insecurity that make other countries to evacuate from Nigeria, it is a failure of the APC. Therefore, no APC man should be allowed to take on the saddle of the this country, having seen what they had done haven't seen what they had done to the system. So how can you, in your right senses, for example, vote an APC man who want to build on the legacies of General Buhari?
That was last year. It's also one of those loudmouth, lousy, jobless rogues roaming the street of Nigeria, and they are called political leaders, opinion makers, and the rest of them. Mind you, he said few things in the past that were probably like sensible, but that never kind of clear him of his alimajirism. Nigeria politicians have no real jobs. When you look at them, they call themselves doctor, engineer, this, that, but they have never practiced any of their profession. Like you will never see anywhere they are practicing their profession that is benefiting the Nigeria system. Never. They have always been scroungers, pickpockets. The person who said anybody who wanted to support the build on legacy of Bukuwari, like Tinubu said, should never be supported. Few months after that video, here is the weary, kneeling down and then begging for his, as usual, imaginary arms. In the hands of the first daughter of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Iyaloja General. Look at her, look at him, see them.
Tinubu supported the general.
My big boss, all those on the high table, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me stand on the existing protocol and greet all of you on this auspicious day, the Democracy Day. For those of us who had been in trenches in politics for the last 45 years, knew that this time around the difference is very, very clear. We do appreciate Mr. President, and so far he is appointed for having been on the right track so far. We do pray and hope that the action man will continue with what he's doing and make Nigeria a better place for all of us. Thank you very much, Yalaja, for this.
Of course, some of you will be like, but what is wrong? What is wrong if it's somebody during campaign, you can say anything. Then you may change your mind. There's nothing wrong in that. Shongbo, they play. As if to say you actually have no idea what is playing out here. That was the moment they were saying that Tinubu was going to make Kwakwanso a minister. So Buba Galadima decided to visit Folashade Tinubu, Iyaloja General, to pay homage. You know what I mean? Like, now, you tell yourself, what exact policy has Tinubu announced since he came in that has been positive so far on your life, on your everyday life right now, as you are watching me from Nigeria? One single one. That you can say, oh, I mean, like, we now have comfort now. Things are changing now. Things are, in fact, if they continue like this, things are going to get better, Goni. Can you tell yourself that truth? But that is what Galadima was saying over 2 months ago. That video you watch is like 2 months ago. He said Tinubu is taking bold step and everything is, you know, everything is different. He has been in politics for 45 years. And he happened to be Kwakwanso's handbag or a bagman, kind of. So, when they now heard that Minister Babu, personal assistant Mba, what did they call her? Any other appointment available? Nada. Kwakwanso's people are now hearing that. It be like, say, if the governor of Kano under NNPP won't keep that seat, he go need to go and prostrate for Gandola and go and beg Gandola and say, please, Jotori Olong, Ranka Dede, Nagode, Yesu, and all that. Forgive me. Or else, the only state where Kwakwanso had one single winner from his 1 million vote all over Nigeria, they will take him from him before December. And before they do that, his own people have already met. They said they have suspended him. I'm expecting another faction tomorrow to say nobody can suspend the founder. So they will come be like that. They drag that one. And if Kolu really want to deal with them, They go just make and remain so until it go die a natural death, just like they are doing to that of a Peter Obi. But rather than for this to die, it seems like it's just becoming more and more trouble that everybody is concerned. When they call Peter Obi somebody who can never win election in Nigeria if he kind of chose not to be a vice president to Atiku or Kwakwanso, he had this to say at the time. Arise TV.
The press. President.
55% of Nigerians in under unemployment ladder is the reason why we have all the problems why Nigeria is insecure. Because rather than vote for competence, we will choose to vote for incompetence based on a primitive consideration of ethnicity and religion. Tell me, today you can't travel from Abuja to Kaduna by air, by road, by train. Is it because somebody from the southeast is in charge? You can't travel from Abuja to Mina by road. Is it because somebody from the southeast is in charge? Yesterday we had an attack by bandits on the presidential convoy in Katsina. Is it because the president from southeast is in charge? Show me where you can buy food cheaper. You have uninterrupted electricity, or people are prospering in the north because the northerners are in power, in the southwest because they are in power, and in the southeast. What we've chosen to do in this country, we will consistently hire vehicle drivers to fly the Nigerian aeroplane instead of hiring qualified pilots. My commitment is, let us campaign and deal with the issue of the problems of the country. There's a lot of problems besieging this country. If you don't know today, this country will soon default in their debt service. Now we'll be at the junk status. That's what should be preoccupying us now. So our schools, universities are shut down, and we're talking about who will vote for. Let's deal with the issues. This election will not.
That was his response at the time. But that was then. A lot is changing. A lot is happening right now. See, good luck, Jonathan. I need something to just motivate me before we go to the Tinubu's first FEC meeting. You know, they don't hold the first Federal Executive Council meeting where Tinubu and the 45 or 46 thieves met in the room to discuss about Nigeria. What should we tell Nigerians? We are going to the part 2 of this broadcast. Money, the small motivation. Make this guy motivate all of us small. Oh yeah, give us motivation.
Let me use this opportunity to advise us who are politicians and those of us who are in the security services that while we are doing the job we are meant to do, let us not, because the judiciary is very conservative, try to blackmail them or squeeze them. Sometimes when we have political powers, we get blinded. They say sometimes your wisdom is consumed with confidence. When we bear the big name, president, governor, all the speakers and so on, we become so blinded, especially even in the security services. When you're holding certain positions, become so blinded, but society is changing. And we must learn, we must admonish ourselves. And civil society is becoming very, very active. And certain things that probably we do and get away with it, we may not get away with it tomorrow. If we take laws into our hands and try to squeeze society, young people will react. It happens when I was a president in a sister country, Burkina Faso, where by their law, if the president is not there because they have no vice president, it's the speaker of the parliament that will take over the country and manage the country. The president wanted to amend the constitution so you go for a third tenure. And from the thinking of society, the parliament was compromised, so the speaker was to do it. The young people in Burkina Faso, the civil society, they mobilized and moved in to the parliament to kill the speaker. The security people couldn't defend it. The speaker has to run away. They burned down the parliament, the national parliament of that country. The mob moved into the state house to attack the president. The president defense squad that was even stronger than national army couldn't stop the mass movement. Otherwise, you kill everybody. The president has to run to Cote d'Ivoire. The country was in a quagmire. Their constitution said the president is not there, the speaker. Now the president ran away, the speaker ran away. Nobody to take over power. The military have to step in. So we, the politicians, and those of us who are holding sensitive security positions should know that society is changing so much and that we should do everything based on the rule of law.
Rule of law. Good luck, Egbere Jolantan, who has now become a motivational speaker. I mean, it's now like a peace convoy. Everywhere he goes, it's like peace man, peace man. He was also one of those who went on behind the scene to first congratulate Tinubu, mobilized other people from other African countries to kind of simmer things down. He was one of those who spoke to Peter Obi on, pursuing a legal review. He made him realize that if he was going to go for the legal whatever, he would need to go all org, like Atiku has been doing, all right? But if he has a change of mind and what have you, he can avoid all of that and get himself ready for another election from the reliable source. So they say, how did you know that, Maiyegun? I feel lied to you. I don't feel lied to you. I don't feel lied for you. Well, it was kind of like that. And you saw the videos there and you saw the pictures at the time. But that's him now talking about when the people's movement will kind of sweep everybody away, even their most powerful military, powerful, most armed soldiers or defense or whatever, they will not be able to stop it. And I bet a lot of you are now kind of feeling like, one day, others are like, forget it, it no fit happen for Nigeria. It no fit happen for here, Baba. I think I want to believe like it's not going to happen in Nigeria like you. But there is other part of me that is saying that Nigeria is due for one. And is upon you already. Let them continue in this trajectory, by the way. So that is why Kolu had his first fake meeting after the swearing for his 46 thieves called ministers. Then they had their first meeting today. Pablo ECOWAS and his 46 thieves. The intro, AIT, credit.
One after the other, the ministers arrived to State House for the inaugural meeting of the Executive Council of the Federation. The new cabinet members were inaugurated on Monday last week after they were confirmed by the Senate chamber in line with its constitutional obligation. Minutes later, the president arrives to council chambers. In his address, President Tinubu told members of his cabinet to support him in his quest to deliver on his electoral promises.
You and I know that, yes, the expectation is high, and there's a tough time right now. We must work hard, commit ourselves, and create a buoyant economy that will serve every Nigerian. We have from unemployment that is a level that is not acceptable. We are threatened.
I don't think they've told him that they have changed the number. So how many of you remember that time when Kolu said he was going to create 50 million jobs? Recruit 50 million youth into the army. What they will eat? Cassava, agbado, and is grown here. You create demand and supply. Farmers will make money.
And we are competing with armed robbers and the bandits to recruit from the youths who are unemployed. 33% unemployed. Recruit 50 million youths into the army and the other thing. Take away from their recruitment source. What they will eat? Cassava, agbado, corn in the morning, yam in the afternoon. It's grown here. You create demand as consumption. For over 5 million army of boot camps. We create our food. That's money for the farmers. That's consumption for the soldiers and skill development. Don't call them illiterate. Don't talk about illiteracy. Anybody who can own gun, who can handle gun, who can cock gun and clean the chamber and cock and shoot is technically competent to repair a tractor in the farm.
So, finally, Kolu had his chance to brief his 46 thieves, his vision, his dream. Unfortunately, okay, I'm going to have to make you watch this again because he actually briefed them. Sure, you know, for the record, I know some of you are like always feeling tortured, but let me promise you this, right? Don't expect anything sensible from his mouth, okay? Just consider this as listening to that, that old grandpa, that you can just listen for the sake of listening, of keeping his company. I know things are serious right now, okay? But I have to show you this. When Kolu was addressing his ministers, then I'm going to take you to when the ministers also started acting the role of cooking all of you, making you expect nonsense and all that. Anyway, here is Kolu, ladies and gentlemen. A quick one. Manuel Ferreira, thank you very much for that super chat, by the way. Very kind of you.
We have to make sure this country stay on the right path to succeed on behalf of over 200 million Nigerians. We have to. We willingly accepted the appointment. I accepted the mandate of the people. On behalf of delegated some of these powers to you to serve the country. You are a very lucky, respected few Nigerians among millions who enjoy the opportunity to show that Nigeria has what it takes to dig ourselves out of problems. We must find an homegrown re-engineering of our finances and manage our resources and let the economy.
Okay. Your comments are even more depressing because they feel like torture too. Reading all of you expressing how torturous or traumatic it is for you to just sit down there and be listening to him and all that. No. Well, I've told you would have to kind of get used to it. Okay? I know some of you would prefer that I kind of pick up the sound bite from it and just join them together and show you that than waste your time listening to, to Kolu, Debulaba, and Balablu. But that happened to be their first town hall, different from Blue, Bulaba, Balablu. Anyway, let's go listen to the aftermath then, where the supposed finance minister, Nigeria finance minister's first press briefing after the first fake meeting today was for him to come and face the camera and lie to Nigerians. Baba, first day lies. Then they dropped the bombshell. They are going to create 50 million jobs for Nigerians. They didn't say how, but like Bokwari, they also told you that they will create 3 million jobs every year. They didn't ask Bokwari how. Those of us who asked that how were you going to create the 3 million jobs every year? Tell us. Some of the zombies born to suffer heads. Unity begging Nigerians. They said we were just enemy of progress. You wait for it. They can create 2 million jobs in oil and gas. They can create 1 million jobs in manufacturing. They can create 1 million jobs through tech. Now, so what people didn't know that time was that if you want to understand the kind of brain that is right there in the medulla oblongata, let's not mix them up, Abby. The brain is the medulla oblongata. Scientific name for brain is medulla oblongata. I've been inside brain, medulla oblongata day. You shall know oblongata that, Let me tell you something. When you become APC, supporter or member, the first induction that you get into is called, Baba, we are going to extract your brain. You won't need it because you are going to need to sublet that your brain and thinking faculty. Somebody else will be doing it for you. So your medulla oblongata are being in your brain. To be an APC member, you don't need that. Because inside the APC, Baba, imagination won't finish everybody. It's like the moment you begin to believe anything said by APC, or you begin to believe in that one Nigeria lies, imagination could just sit you down. Imagination will come sit you down, come play you scenario. Imagination will come show you different scenario. And at the end of the day, now later you go no see more. Imagination won't kill me, Maiyegun. About Nigeria. Sorry. So when you join APC, or you give any tiny chance of believing anything they say, now imagination go kill you. Or will nearly kill you. I'm coming. So their finance minister came out and started answering questions from the media, and they were asking him too. They were, he was like, okay, yeah, tell us, this economy is very bad. They kind of agreed that Bokwari destroyed Nigeria, but they didn't mention his name. Okay, they said Nigeria is in a serious mess. They didn't want to say Nigeria is bankrupt. They didn't want to say that they are already printing money. This guy opened his mouth and told Nigerians in his first fake meeting speech that Nigeria will not borrow anything. You see that imagination? People where they use nearly 100% of their revenue to service debt. They've already lost over 60 to 70% of their source of revenue. tax, and even crude oil sale. So they want to build a Nigeria that is blah, 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 blah. And a lot of you are also sitting down there. They imagine. I can imagine what Nigeria will be in 6 months. Vivid imagination. Make imagination no finish you, my brother. Honestly. Vivid imagination. They want to build Nigeria. We are not going to borrow a kobo. Under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu, our economy is going to be blue ocean economy to green ocean sea economy. And all the nonsense they are spewing. But guess what? In a space of 2 months into real long, where's that? Where is that update? I'll go read them to you. In a space of 2 months, this Tinubu's government, they have collected $800 million for the palliative they want to share to all of you. They haven't made up their mind. How many bag of rice? Imagine, population of what do you call it? The population of some states will be around 2 million. Then they send them 30,000 bag of rice for 2 million population. Anyway, $800 million. They've collected $500 million from the World Bank for women empowerment program to support women in Nigeria, to get them to begin to trade and do business and all of that. Empowerment, $500 million. If you are a woman or your mama did there beside you, ask her, is she aware of that $500 million? Now, loan, everything alone, no, not gift. Too. These guys have already collected $750 million for the power improvement, power distribution, and making available prepaid meters for all of you. The one they couldn't do for 8 years under Isale Barack Obama. Fashola, remember, the Minister of Darkness. They don't collect $750 million in 2 months. Oh. Now, these guys have collected $3 billion, $3 billion, because they wanted to save the Naira. They don't want Naira to dollar to cross 1,000. Go to 1,500 Naira to $1. So to save that, they went to go and make a deal with Afrexim Bank, Africa Exit Import. Exit. Exim, export and import. Exim, Afrexim, Africa Exports and Import Bank, to go and collect $3 billion cash, and they are going to give them crude oil. All of this in the last 2 months alone. We don't know how much money they have printed already, but like I said, it's going to come to light. But this guy opened his mouth, this old man opened his mouth. And he said this.
As we said, led to an increase in the price level. That process takes time, and as it feeds through, prices will eventually fall. Inflation, as was happened everywhere else they have done this, inflation will eventually fall. But in the short term, the measure to provide funding to state governments was to put food on people's tables. As regards borrowing and debt service, I think those two can be taken together. Clearly, the federal government is not in a position to borrow at this time. Rather, the emphasis has to be on creating a stable macroeconomic environment, stable inflation, stable exchange rate, and an environment within which people can come and invest, and thereby increase production and further grow the economy, improve, create jobs, and reduce poverty. So the aim of all the reforms at this time is not to is to focus on what we call equity, to focus on investment, to attract investment, investment by Nigerians, investment by foreign direct investors, and even investment by portfolio investors that want to invest in the financial aspects of the Nigerian economy, such as the stock market, such as the bond market. And so that is the plan. That is the expectation, and it is that there would not be a reliance on borrowing. Rather, as revenues increase, as the benefit of removing fuel subsidy and the subsidy on the exchange rate, as those mean more money for government at all levels, because of course, through oil revenue, the Federation earns dollars. And if those dollars are feeding through at, let's say, 700 or so, 750 or so naira to $1, as opposed to 460 where it was before, clearly that is repairing the finances of government at federal, state, and local government levels. So that's the plan.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Minister of Agri will respond to the question from Ruth Bloomberg on the commodity boards and other questions related to agriculture.
Thank you very much. Question has to do with setting up of commodity boards. Well, right now, you're aware that we have commodity exchanges. And I think what we need to do is look at how we can better improve the exchanges. There are opportunities to.
I don't want to bore you with that, okay? It's pretty much like, all jargons as well. All talks, no action. But you see that part of the financial minister, being a finance minister, is that man is also in charge of the economy of Nigeria. Did you hear him when he said that they are not planning to borrow, even though they have already borrowed nearly $6 billion? You heard me right. Nearly $6 billion they've borrowed already. Even there is another one I didn't have. Shebi, we were talking about the foreign reserve that got depleted. The one they used it as collateral to borrow money. And now the balance in the foreign reserve of Nigeria dropped from 33 billion down to 3.7 billion. Shebi, you remember that one a few days ago? Right. This Tinubu and his central bank, they also withdrawn from that same foreign reserve. I don't know how they did it. That balance in the foreign reserve has dropped down to 2.2 or 2.3 billion right now. They've taken 440, that's 880. $880 million have been taken from the Nigerian foreign reserve in this past month of July. I just thought I should mention that. A quick one. Olori, Charity, thank you very much, for that, your super chat and the message. The chat, every day of my life, I bleed for Nigerians. I tried to stop watching you, Maiyegun. I wouldn't thank you for all you do. And God protection upon you and yours. Thank you, ma. I mean, it is what it is, I would say. But it is always better to be in the know. Sometimes it's good to know, especially in the case of Nigeria. Having the right information and knowing things has helped a lot of people. Not just how they deal with Nigeria, but how they themselves handle themselves when it comes to the issue of Nigeria. So that's why it is pretty much like fair enough to share, okay? Where people share their own view and the rest of that, okay? So thank you very much that you didn't stop, okay? And I've done my best as well to make sure I don't always make all of you feel so bad. Like all that kind of depressing show. After watching Maiyegun, you just feel so depressed, like, oh no, man, I don't want to watch this. I hope I'm doing my best to keep you off that, yeah? Information is live. Null J, thank you very much as well for your own super chat too. Very kind of you, all of you. Thank you. Now, if you are still here with me, especially on YouTube or Facebook, you should take a moment and like the broadcast. It's so important you do, right? Like the broadcast and then share it and all of that. So the finance minister who lied to you that they were waiting for the revenue to increase. They are not investing in Nigeria economy. They are not. They are not telling you the truth. I mean, if they really want to confess to all of you, or that they really love Nigeria, they want to do something, by now, there are members of Bukwari's government that should already have their names published as indicted people or listed to be indicted for what the economic terrorism they committed against Nigeria. These are the signs that will show to you that, number one, they want to come clean and they actually want to fix things. But you cannot pretend that those who looted Nigeria, those who mismanaged Nigeria, that never happened or they don't exist. And then you, from your own warped mind and fraudulent mind, you have developed another idea to create wealth. When all the money that you have been giving out, none of them has actually been, not a single penny has been dropped in manufacturing, in construction, and all this, none has been dropped. Because you don't have it. Nigeria has no money. So they are banking on, he says something about the crude oil. When they sell crude oil, they expect some dollars. That's not true. Before they came, the supposed money from Nigeria crude oil has been looted because the crude oil has been stolen. So Nigeria didn't make money from that. The little money that should come to Nigeria, they opened a door called subsidy. Subsidy to pay people that nobody knows. They can't even mention their names. They can't mention the companies. Companies that collected billions of dollars, trillions of naira. I'm talking about over 16, over 16 trillion naira in 8 years. They can't even mention their names. So they removed the subsidy, make all of you believe that that's it, they're not paying them anymore. Then they turned around to say, oh, we need to subsidize dollars, but they don't have it. They don't have enough. Their greed and their demand for dollars that are not really for business or for any productive anything, just for their own use. Their family members abroad and the rest. These are what they use your dollars for. Anyone that they found in the kitty of Central Bank of Nigeria. So the money is not going into the hands of the right people that are going to turn the money over. I'm talking about businessmen, businesses. When you give them that money, they will turn it over. But no, they decided to go behind the scene. Go and collect $3 billion cash from Afrexim Bank. Then they now subsidize the dollar. A dollar to a naira in Nigeria is over 900 naira to a dollar. But they decided to go and take dollars, subsidize it for their friends that will then bring in cheap oil. Sure, you know, to bring fuel to Nigeria, you need dollars, not naira. All the marketers, they need dollars. And which means for them to access that dollars, they need to approach the central bank. Central Bank of Nigeria is empty. They've emptied it. If you open anywhere in Central Bank of Nigeria, now hold naira notes you go see there. And the colored ones they just made, that is creating confusion. There's no real money there anymore. So they don't have it. They have to go somewhere, to go and borrow the cash, put it in one colo, and they call their friends. Don't worry, you don't need to buy a dollar for 900. Come to the central bank, we'll give it to you for $400. We don't even need to pay back the people we borrowed the money from. Now, crude oil we go give them. So, oh yeah, come and take the dollar. So when the dollar finish, this finance minister that is not admitting to that on camera, he wasn't telling you the truth. He was telling you they've removed subsidy and they are saving money. Baba, in 2 months, they said they have saved over 1 trillion naira. Baba, where is that 1 trillion naira they saved? Have you know? Can't you ask them? Shouldn't the finance minister be telling you that we have 1 trillion naira saved already? And that 1 trillion naira is the money we should have paid for subsidy. No, we didn't. It's with us. It's a lie. They don't have it. The money they are sharing or the one they are giving them, for 5 billion, they want to give to the states to cushion the effect of palliative, the effect of subsidy removal. It's not money from saving money from subsidy. They borrowed the money, $800 million. They borrowed it. And that is the money they converted to your naira. That they are saying they want to give $5 billion and $5 billion naira to every state so that they can share the money. Use part of the money to buy you a bag of rice. And the rest of the money to share the money to all of you. 5 billion. That 5 billion is not coming from the savings of subsidy removal. I hope you know that. Eh? And from that 5 billion, Tinubu said they should give to every state, including Abuja. 2 billion. Now the money they say, you dash them to 2 billion. 3 billion of that money, now low, no. Okay? Use 2 billion, buy rice, share the rice to fight poverty. The remaining 3 billion, we don't know how you go do them, whether you want to give them cash, whether you want to buy them more rice, it no concern also. But you go pay them back. We go deduct them from your allocation next month. So the state governors are collecting the money now. And they are redesigning how they want to spend it. No be me they wish I'm on you. I just wish you what you wish yourself. Sorry to those of you who actually stood up to stop all of this from the onset. Like, I don't even know how that is fear. But that is pretty much relative. If you are talking about Nigeria, where the sinners are being punished, even the righteous too go collect. That's what Nigeria has become. So the finance minister was lying. And there are other more lies that I don't know if you would like to listen to them just before we go to the next thing, right? Like this one.
He talked about how soon can the ministers live up to this billing, and whether there is any time frame that Mr. President has given for the actualization of the programs and projects. The Honorable Minister of Health, Professor Ali Pate, will speak to that.
So let me just build on what the Honorable Minister of Trade and Investment had responded on the issue of jobs, to say that the healthcare value chain itself is an additional area where quality jobs, well-paying jobs, can be created, and is part of what we will be working on over time. The question that was asked by the gentleman from ITB in terms of running out of steam, I think Mr. President acknowledges that there are difficulties in the land at the moment. He's very aware of that, empathetic about that, and very committed to see that, in fact, there is succor. And in the crisis that we are facing, boldness will allow us to turn that crisis moment into an opportunity. And on day one, he took some bold steps that took several years without our country taking a similar step on subsidy and other issues. So that is one marker in terms of the bias of his administration towards action, towards bold action. And his track record, I think, speaks for itself. For this inaugural cabinet meeting, I think we are all gingered up and will start taking immediate steps to action the policy direction of the